we are at a point where this disruption was evident and it was coming, and we should be ready to completely change the infrastructure of organizations to think about a future where it is BR and HR working together, bot resources and human resources working together for a future.
And it's forcing us to look toward the future and say, where else will we apply? Not can we, but will we apply automation inside of our operations?
Hi, my name is Steve Lavelle. I'm co-founder and co-CEO of WonderBotz. I recall in 2014 when I first learned of this space. I was a partner at one of the big four firms at the time, and I had just finished a briefing on this new category of tools. It was a software application that used other software applications the same way that people do. I'm sure at the time my response was, no, it doesn't, or some other chuckle of disbelief. And really just at the time, I didn't really understand what a digital worker was or the role that it would ultimately play in digital transformation for companies.
We weren't just cleaning up the background operational issues, we delivered things to the field that no one else could. Like, we couldn't technologically do the ask until we brought the RPA bots in.
Word of mouth, I would say, is probably the best way to judge how effective this automation has been. We are seeing grassroots interest across the organization, and more requests are coming in because of the amount of benefit this particular automation has brought to the business.
I look at automation as a stress test, if you will, on our processes, because automation is going to work best for you as an organization and whatever you're trying to achieve if you have processes that are standardized, that they're repeatable, that they have scale in them. And so from my perspective, when we look at automation and start to stratify those things, everywhere we've done, whether it's been in the revenue cycle management, in our clinical, in our physician billing, wherever we've done it, we've strengthened internally our processes to get us ready for automation.
Over the years, I've come to appreciate that RPA, or robotic process automation, is not a single thing. It's actually a set of countless automations, use cases, and lessons learned that all share one thing in common. It's about delivering value very rapidly into organizations.
The one that pretty much sticks out in my mind is the sales and use tax reporting. It's probably going to be what I may call my favorite so far, simply because it's fixing a pain point in an area that doesn't get a lot of attention, honestly, with automation. And just seeing the excitement of some of the folks there, and we start figuring out how to make their daily life better. That to me is probably has been or will be my favorite automation.
Oscar, which is our reporting bot, is sort of my favorite. And the simple reason being, we started off with automating reports. I think it was 3 or 4 reports in Oracle at the beginning, way back when we started the journey. But as I said, we set up a framework, and it was not a full-fledged, not a focus run these 4 reports only. We built, in partnership with WonderBotz, a framework where you could automate any report in any system through like a config file. And that it started with 4 reports, but now it's running at 30 different reports across 17 different teams, multiple times a day. So almost, I think last month it ran 1,500 reports in the whole month.
My favorite automation has been identifying patients with higher acuity so that we can provide more specific, better care for them. We call that care crisis care. And at the end of life, oftentimes people will have symptoms that begin to exacerbate. So by automating that, by looking at this every minute of every day, in essence, it helps our clinical staff identify who might benefit from additional care and support.
There are so many different use cases. I'm always staggered by the scale and the breadth of what RPA can accomplish.
Today's batch is numbers over 900 changes. Wednesday, we had about 4,000 changes. Yesterday, it was over 2,300 changes. So if you imagine somebody having to sit at a keyboard day after day, it's a pretty high volume.
Well, if you think about it, we've got well over 1,000 stores. So that would be X number of states. So you got 50 states at least there. And then however many counties and cities. So you're talking thousands of tax reports. I wouldn't begin to guess exactly how many reports would be involved there.
It took us longer than, at the time, it felt like it was taking a long time, but for development and UAT, it took us 3 months. And when we pushed the button, it took us 6 weeks to move 1 million files that it would have taken one person 64 years with no time off to do.
An automation could save 64 years worth of work is pretty staggering. And generally we talk about value in terms of hours saved, but there are many other ways to determine benefits.
If standardization creates efficiency, automation creates hyper efficiency.
This is a software that will run software.
The value for this automation doesn't rank with some of the other ones where I have 80-90% reusable objects. For this one, it was more about the impact that it had on how the firm and our clients viewed the investment in RPA. It wasn't just an investment in some back office technology. It was investing in just our overall toolkit on how we problem solve and how we're able to do things in a quick or unconventional way.
You wouldn't think there would be a lot of changes, but we see thousands of changes over the course of a week, simply because of resizing of sales consultant territories, turnover, new salons signing up. There's a lot of volume, and I see this as a classic use case for automation.
So my favorite automation that we've ever done is also my least favorite automation.
Well, yeah, basically we're a retailer. So every time we sell a product in whatever jurisdiction, we have to apply the appropriate sales tax to it. And then ultimately we have to report to that municipality, whether it's the county, the city, the state, how much sales tax was collected, and ultimately remit that to the state or the municipality.
So my team still kind of shudders if I mention this RBI automation that we did, but we learned so much. We upped our game as a team, as the way we think about automation strategically through this.
Of course, the security process was another, fun area to answer that question, the data security, the accessibility, those areas. So what we did was we hired a consulting firm, an audit firm, and said, do you guys do audit for robotic process automation? They said, yes. And I said, I'm going to pay you if you can find me at least 10 potential risks. If you cannot, then I'm not going to pay you. This is a very different value proposition than typically clients do to consultants. Clients will say, could you save my back and not expose any mistakes that we made, and we will fix it? I said, no. I want you guys to present that there are these 10 mistakes you could potentially make. And that was a lot of fun, adding that mix in the entire automation.
Well, at this point, we haven't put any kind of targeted time savings, although we think it's going to be substantial, measured in terms of days per month, not necessarily hours per month for these associates. And by the way, these were associates that were, or this was a department that was impacted by the pandemic, and actually there were furloughs there, so there was fewer associates to do the work. So this really kind of backfilled those resources and has allowed things to get done properly. Which ultimately, whenever you start talking about regulatory reporting and tax reporting and that kind of thing, being accurate is the primary concern.
And it was this approach, really kind of focused around helping employees be the people that they can be to deliver the value and the innovation both to their organizations and their other co-workers as part of a collaborative unit. This is the goal that we set out to do, and this is why we formed WonderBotz.
Working with WonderBotz has been an absolute pleasure. We received our training through WonderBotz. We buy our licenses through WonderBotz. and they have remained a steadfast partner with Sally, to the degree that they're even alerting us to changes that would affect our ERPs, even before the ERP themselves reached out to us. So I value the partnership and look forward to working with WonderBotz for a long time.
This isn't my first rodeo with WonderBotz. I mean, the reason they were invited to the show at my current job is I'd worked with them at a previous job that I had been in, and they had done a great job for me there. So, you know, we're at Genesco, we're beginning the RPA journey, if you will, and having that good experience with WonderBotz gave me some confidence to call them back. So they came in and they've done a great job at helping to educate other folks on my team in the IT area and other parts of the business on what RPA is all about, and helping us to identify opportunities and helping us to build the pipeline.
In life, it's really important not only what you're doing, but who you're working with. And we want to work with organizations and partners that have integrity, that are geared toward innovation, that are good people to work with. And WonderBotz checks all of those boxes for us.
I love working with WonderBotz because we've gotten to such a better place about thinking about what we're doing internally, just from talking through solutions with them, thinking through more strategic approaches. They've really upped our game, and they're an extension of our team in thought leadership and in doing some of this stuff.
But then moving on from there, founding WonderBotz was very easy. In order to capitalize on this new tool, we needed to use different approaches to uncovering and capturing value. We needed we're going to help this client succeed no matter what philosophy.
So from both the person's perspective as well as the organization's perspective, I think that the general direction is that people are no longer saying, I want that Excel plugging in job that I will do for the rest of my career. And, you know, so there is that momentum there.
We weren't looking to replace people. We were looking to become more efficient, certainly, but we were looking at automations as leverage.
Kept messaging that this was not to reduce any headcount. It was not to eliminate any positions. It was to convert the quality of your work from typing on the keyboard to thinking more, doing the analytics, the business support. And to date, we've sort of kept that promise. We haven't eliminated any positions because of automation.
Simply just redirecting people to more meaningful work. The level of effort to key thousands of changes in a given week pretty much took up an associate's time, full time. And this is somebody who has a higher skill set and would be better served working on more important matters.
Leveraging our current people and getting them out of menial tasks and putting them in higher value tasks. And actually, as a force multiplier, it's going to allow us to grow without adding more staff.
We get the work done that needs to be done, but we also challenge our employees with more meaningful work.
And I think the thing I've been most pleased about is once staff sort of got over that initial, trepidation or concern about something new, now as we go through automations, they ask, well, shouldn't we look at automating this, or shouldn't we look at automating that? They're embracing it and they see the value in it.
It has not been a challenge to convince the senior management or middle management that this is something that needs to happen for building efficiencies and value for the organization. For a salesperson, it could be I could run across 10 more leads that could result in one more sale, and that sale could be $250,000. So for some other people, that may not be so easily translatable.
When we chose Blue Prism to be our platform, we needed help, and that help came in the way of WonderBotz. WonderBotz, the way that I look at our relationship, it's not a vendor relationship, it's really a partnership. There's many facets to automation, from the governance to assessing and stratifying opportunities for its implementation, then the implementation and building it out, and then the monitoring. And so WonderBotz covers all of that for you. And as you get, as an organization, as we get more familiar with and have more automations that are touching different parts of our organization, we still have WonderBotz there to help guide us, going from a small number of automations to a large number of automations. And again, being a partner, helping us to innovate, where I don't have to go out and try and hire that type of talent with automation experience or background. I can rely on my partner. So when we have a higher need, I can look to WonderBotz, and WonderBotz says, yes, we can help you with that. If it's something routine that we've already put in place, then again, I have the confidence of the backup that WonderBotz offers for us.
RPA creates an opportunity to think about problem solving in a new way. We can take the best of breed of how a human might tackle a problem and how an automation might tackle a program. When we put those together, we call that robot way. It's focused on outcomes, and it's flexible on process in that we can trim out the components that are only in the process because humans were doing it before.
But once we found out what a bot way is, that the bot could actually download 100 emails, 100 attachments, process them simultaneously, run SAP for it, generate those emails and send it out, which is a very different process. It's not as one by one that human minds do, but a horizontal patch that goes across. That was a lot of fun, because then we could pick those processes that are very similar in nature and have the bot actually, load them up with those processes to be done simultaneously, and then see the impact of it.
WonderBotz is here to take the robotic work away from people, enabling them to collaborate with their peers and do the types of innovation that only people can do. We call this purpose Restoring Humanity Now, and we see a really bright future for everyone involved, limited only by our collective imagination. Thanks for watching.